that, just join my course.
Yeah, pay $1,000 for this course that I found on YouTube somewhere, and
and then join my master's course.
Join my master class.
Hey, don't hate because I'm a course girl.
I'm just saying. And welcome back to the Riley Black Project, Crystal and John.
Hey,
what's going on over there in the Hot Mess Express you got going on?
Still chugging along.
Yeah, how was your nap today? Oh, that was my phone. It's dying. That's my phone. If it's not the alarm, it's the
right. Did you turn that alarm off?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have it on.
Yeah, it was necessary, but not. You know, like when you feel like crap and you go take a nap, those aren't the ones that you enjoy.
Right.
It's like, I'm just trying to survive. And then when the kids are home and stuff, it's like,
summer break.
It doesn't last long. And then all of a sudden they're fighting or screaming or.
You got a good 15 minutes before they got home.
Yeah. I wasn't asleep yet.
Solid 15 minutes.
Yep.
So, shouts out next week.
Yeah, we'll do our shout outs next week.
But this episode is brought to you by
Katie with Monarch Pine. She gave everybody 10% off. So code Riley Black on her Etsy, monarchpine.etsy.com.
Perfect.
Speaking of Etsy.
And she'll get double next week.
Double?
Well, yeah, because every time we do shout outs, she gets the sponsored and then.
Oh, yeah.
She'll get double shout outs next
week. For sure.
But yes, speaking of Etsy, so our guest today swore she would never be in the laser community yet.
Sucks you in.
She is on a laser podcast.
Right.
Or soon to be on a laser podcast.
And at a laser conference.
She's going to
the next level?
To
the conference.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice. And that's at the end of the month.
I know. I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, we're not talking about that. Also, teaser to our life update. I use the X tool, so stay tuned for that. So we'll talk about that a little bit in the life update. But our guest today is from your neck of the woods.
Yeah.
She's not a native, but she's been in Colorado for a while.
20 plus years, yeah.
So welcome to the show, Jessica Trueblood of Etsy Underachievers Facebook Group.
There you go.
Hey guys.
Hey.
How's it going?
Good. I'm good. Thank you for having me. This is really exciting.
Is it warm in Colorado yet?
Yes, today was almost 90, so things got hot. We had some weird weather in May, and now Colorado's like, nope, cranking it up. So hot.
Colorado. That's what Colorado does.
Those
bipolar.
Those
like go from like hail and snowstorms right to like wildfires. We just don't miss a beat, you know.
Yeah. I remember we went to my birthday is in the middle of May. It's right around Mother's Day, and we went to Etsy. Jesus Christ.
We went to Etsy.
Estes.
Oh yeah.
In my defense, it's really close, and I'm sick and tired.
Wait, where'd you go?
We went to Estes Park.
For
Estes my birthday.
Yeah.
Not like Etsy. We went to Estes Park for my birthday when we still lived out there. And it was really cold when we were trying to go around to all the shops. All the shops are closing early.
Yeah. We went horseback riding that trip.
We did, yeah. Was that before or after? That had to have been before the massive snowstorm.
Before, yeah.
Yeah, so then we woke up on my actual birthday, and there was literally like a foot of snow on all the cars and the roads, and I was like, oh, happy birthday. Thanks, Colorado.
So we got, my husband and I got married, just a side story, Colorado story. We got married in March, which like when you tell people that, they're like, ooh, March, are you sure? We're like, yes, because it's cheaper to get married in March than it is in May. And we picked like late March. Hey, we had a foot of snow on our wedding day. And then the next weekend it was, 80. So
of course. Yeah.
That's how we do it.
Yeah, I hate those.
Be ready for anything.
Those last few
those
storms,
are the worst
because I would get all nice and warm because like the winter for me sucked because I don't like cold. I'm a Floridian, so we don't like cold. But it's like it sucks, but it's like it's winter. I mean, I know what I signed up for. I'm in Colorado. What did I expect? And then it starts to warm up, and then you get like those 60. You get like a 60. It gives
you a taste.
You get a 70, and you're like, oh, okay.
And then it's like,
okay, and then boom, more snow, and I'm like, oh.
Yes. We call that fall spring here.
Yeah.
It's like one of the many seasons between spring and summer is like fall spring, where there's that one last snowstorm right when you put all your patio furniture out.
Yeah.
and you plant your flowers and your
Colorado waits.
tomatoes.
Yep, that's what I was
And
gonna
then
say.
it's like,
Colorado waits
no.
until you
Yes.
pull out your patio furniture and you plant all your new flowers, and then it's like, okay, hold my beer.
Yep, you
Here's
have to
some
go out there
snow.
and cover all those little tomato plants, and it's a mess.
So, what is your background before Etsy stuff, before the laser world? You know,
Long
what were you doing before?
Yeah, just to clarify, because maybe people will be mad. I said when I was, I met somebody that had a laser, and I was like, well, I do hand wood burning. I think it's a true art, and I'm not gonna, right? Just like a lot of people, I'm like, I'm not gonna get a laser. I think that's not my
Cheating.
thing. And then, right, not cheating, but I was like, it's not my thing. And then I bought someone's used laser and was like, I'll probably sell it. And next thing you know, I'm like, I can't get by a whole day. Like there's no day where this thing isn't on. So my background, gosh, I I guess now at this point, it's in the past. I had a longtime professional career in like learning and development. So I actually have a master's of education, and I did adult learning. I did like training facilitation and adult learning and leadership coaching for many years. And I was really excited. Like I was going to climb the corporate ladder, and it was so important to me. And then, life, right? Life happens. I had an Etsy shop that I started in 2018. And I think I Googled like, what's the easiest thing to sell on Etsy? And it was, I was like, oh, good. A digital printable, whatever shop.
Oh,
and I
of course,
threw some designs up. Right. Threw some designs up, and then like went to bed. And the next morning I woke up and I'm like, I'm not a millionaire. I don't understand what happened.
Right.
What is happening? But anyway, so later, like the next year, my mom got sick in 2019. And if you've ever experienced anything like this, you know just how sideways everything can get. So I literally, while my mom was sick and she passed away, I left my shop, and I didn't care what happened to it. I did nothing. I think I just like turned everything off and was, getting through that. And this 2019. So that it was coming up on winter. She passed away in June of 19, and it was getting close to the winter time. And even though there's sunshine in Colorado, there's also like a lot of cold, and it gets dark at 4:45. And so if you're like me, you have like seasonal weirdness when it comes to your moods, right?
I didn't
and
know
my
seasonal
husband's
depression.
like, okay, so we need to talk about how you're going to get through the winter because all this stuff happened. And I ended up deciding to pick back up some of my crafts that I used to do when I was younger, and I had all these boxes full of stuff. But it kind of just, I didn't have time for them anymore. I was working full time. We'd had our son by then. And I picked up some little wooden ornaments and was painting them. And I did a craft show that Christmas, and it really helped, right? So crafting really kept me focused on doing something with my hands. It felt good to be in the space. And we did okay that year, right? Without my mom. So January comes around, and I was like, well, there goes that. We just put all these ornaments away. Like no one's going to buy these things year round. And so my husband's like, well, but before you put them away, like, why don't you find other things that you can make, right? Why don't you find something? So that's sort of the longer story of how I started with like wood burning and painting things, and then transitioned later into having a laser. And I already had an Etsy shop that was, with like 0 sales out there. And I resurrected and thought, okay, I'm going to make this work. But this time I'm going to do it right. I'm going to research. I'm going to find the resources. And that was in late 2019, early 2020. So I did not have a Facebook group at the time. I was in Etsy Facebook groups, like a lot of people are when they're trying to figure out what the heck to do on Etsy.
Yeah.
And
it's so overwhelming when you're first starting. I remember I put off Etsy for so long. And then like I went to go start it, and then I was like just overwhelmed by just like the listing process. And like I was doing t-shirts at the time, and then it was like oh my God, wait, I have to list every single size for every color. Like, and I was like, oh, okay. And then just every variation of every design and like your policies and just, when you go to sign up, it's just, I get overwhelmed easily. So it was like, it took no time for me to like start and be like, oh, okay. It took my friend finally signing up for hers and having her experience to be able to help me kind of like walk through it that made it like not so scary. And I'm glad I did, because I mean, honestly, that was kind of like what started this. That's where I got most of my, success. Sure, I was selling stuff locally to friends and family and like friends of friends and stuff, but being able to sell my laser designs on Etsy was what kind of like, skyrocketed everything. And it's actually the smallest part of what I do now, because I do so much. But I mean, there's files. I haven't made a file in, I make the last like year or two, I've made a couple files.
Okay.
But the other ones are still selling. Like, so, I made, I think it was like $200 or something like last month, or, cause I started having my accountant kind of break all that out so I could see, what I'm actually, but I mean, it's $200 that I didn't have to do necessarily anything for. And if I showed it more attention, it probably would do even better. But it was my big start in the laser world. So,
hey there, podcast listeners. How great would it feel if this was the year you finally got to escape your 9-to-5 to embrace your lifestyle of creativity and entrepreneurship?
Every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, Eon Laser USA invites you to join the Freedom to Create webinar, where you'll learn how to make this a reality.
Join leading laser industry professional and brand ambassador Emily, aka That Mom with a Laser, and Eon Laser USA's sales manager Alicia as they dive into all things Eon.
Learn about the advantages of owning an Eon Laser and get the scoop on Eon's rewards and partner benefits. Plus, get a glimpse at how everyday people who started out with zero experience paid off their lasers, scaled their businesses, and transformed their lifestyles.
So if you're ready for a lifestyle change, head over to eonlaser.us/whyus and sign up for the Freedom to Create webinar today.
Thanks for listening. Laser on.
Welcome to the revolution in laser engraving. Introducing Lens Digital, the creators of the game-changing Pyburn rotary attachment. With the Pyburn 4.0, you can turn ordinary cups, tumblers, glasses, and more into extraordinary masterpieces.
Looking to engrave niche items or want the functionality of a chuck rotary? Look no further than the Pyburn Grip, Lens Digital's chuck-style rotary. With a range of different sized jaws, you can easily engrave a wide variety of items. All Lens Digital products are compatible with most CO2 and Galvo lasers and were designed specifically for the laser industry. All that, paired with the best-in-class customer support, Lens Digital is your one-stop shop for all of your rotary needs.
Transform your laser engraving game with Lens Digital, where makers succeed. Unleash your creativity today.
And don't forget, we are proud Lens Digital affiliates as well. If you're shopping, code RileyBlack will take $50 off any order of $600 or more.
Well, and I think, ultimately, even if you have a website or you sell, wholesale, or you sell to friends and family, or you do craft shows, it doesn't hurt to have an Etsy, because Etsy has what a lot of those things don't have, which is built-in traffic.
Exactly.
And millions of buyers.
Yep, I remember I had posted in That Mom with a Laser, and I remember asking people if I should set up an Etsy or if I should set up a website. And I'll always remember that Mark said, why not both? And my initial answer was, well, because I don't have time and I have to choose one, because I have to start somewhere. And man, the website was even more work than setting up the Etsy. Gosh. But it's true that like Etsy, I don't post my Etsy link. I've been really bad about like self-promotion and all of that lately. But those sales that I'm getting are not sales that I tried to get.
Right.
That's $200 of people who just found me. Yeah. Right. And I mean, the months where I did amazing and I was doing, files every couple days, I made, 5,000-6,000 depending on the month. Right. So
yeah, we'll get you back to making files.
I mean, I think one of the big things about Etsy that, at least in the beginning, I mean, it's very intimidating, I think, because if you spend any time online, everybody's like, I made $1 million on Etsy, and all I did was sell this one T-shirt, or like I got in 90 days.
I woke up to 20 sales. I'm like, whatever.
Right. And you read that, and so you think your experience is going to be like that, and then like me, I set up this terrible looking shop and flipped the switch, and like nothing happened. And like later when I realized what it takes to be on Etsy, I was like, okay, that makes sense why nobody bought anything.
Right.
But like people like us, like, so we go to the internet or we go to Facebook and we're like, how do I get more sales on Etsy? And then like 30 million things come back on the search, and they're all over the place.
The board.
Conflicting, and then there's, I have to pay for this now, and I have to have this membership and this tool.
Right.
And, oh my God, and I don't know Canva, and I'm not a photographer, and what the hell happened to my life, right?
Right.
You went on the rabbit hole.
Or the work on SEO, and it's like, well,
oh God,
yes, that's a very, very good start. And yes, everyone who has a business should know what SEO is. Do you know what SEO is?
Yeah, search engine optimization.
Good job.
Yeah. Good job.
But it's like, okay, well, someone who's brand new.
But I didn't.
Like,
I didn't know.
What does that mean?
They don't know what that is.
Like, it's like I don't know. I have a love-hate relationship with those questions or those answers because. Do I expect you to write it all out for me? No. But do I hope that you'll give me a little bit more than just, these 3 little initials? Yes, I can Google it, but I don't exactly, just finding like.
Right.
Yeah, I can give you all that. Just join my course.
Yeah, pay $1,000 for this course that I found on YouTube somewhere, and
and then join my master's course.
Join my master class.
Hey, don't hate because I'm a course girl.
I'm just saying.
I'm all about courses. I think. Right. I mean, I grew up with corporate side, and now I have my own courses. It's more about just making fun of the whole, like, I'm not going to give you any value, and you have to pay me. Whereas like you join my Facebook group, you'll get all the stuff that's in there and the community immediately.
And that's a good side note of anyone who's looking for like extra training, or they're trying to decide if the course is the right fit for them. Find someone who gives you the true free value, but they made a course so that they can make it in a prettier little package and, make it more one-on-one or more in-depth or whatever, and make it so that, those courses, getting students for those courses makes it so that they can then continue to do that free content. But find someone who has a YouTube or a Facebook group, or who's actually in the communities, like answering questions, being helpful, not like the person who goes to those questions and gives you absolutely nothing, but I have a course on that. Like, give them a little bit, and then like if that answer is helpful, or if there's other resources, those are the ones that like I tend to go to, because it's like, oh, okay, like you're willing to help me out, and it's not only just about pay me. It's like it shows, one, that you know what you're talking about, and 2, it like gives them like a little bit without just
pay me,
give me all your money.
Give me all your money. No, exactly. And I that's why the community started, was I felt like there was not a great, the pages in the groups that I were in at the time were not great. And there was no one actually helping. It was a lot of like bragging and, selling. And I'm like, I just want to know like what's real and what's not real. And, and so I started my own group and decided that what I was going to do different was actually focus on the things that were true and factual about Etsy, right? Sort that out, go right to the source, make a reference to what's real, and then try to give people as much of that for free as I can, knowing that, like anything, if you want it quicker and you want it in depth and you want it more personalized, then that's when you would go and buy a course or work with someone one-on-one, or, download something. But, there was none of this when I started, and I figured it out, so anyone can.
Right. It's kind of the same thing. We've even thought about it with the podcast. only like we don't really have like a podcast community. I think that's the only reason we haven't really like gone that route as far as like a course. But it's almost, I'm tempted to do a podcast course, just even if it's like $20, but to answer everyone's questions when they come to us and they're like, I want to start a podcast. Like, what
I
should
would totally
do?
buy a podcast
You know?
course. Are you kidding me?
Because it's really not that hard, but
Yeah.
and we had to figure out a lot of it on our own, because one thing we kept running into, and we even ran into it at like a big podcast conference, is that unfortunately, kind of like you were saying with Etsy, there was a lot of people who were saying you can't make any money on podcasts without thousands and thousands of downloads per episode. And it's like, that's straight bullshit. You know what I mean? Like we hit 50K downloads like earlier this year, which is amazing. But if you ask a podcast expert, because we don't have thousands of downloads per episode in the first week, then, you know, it's not profitable.
We
like,
actually, that was a, that was a talk.
We actually went to one of those talks,
Yeah, we went to like one of those workshops at the Podfest,
Okay.
at the podcast convention, and we waited to talk to those guys to see like
well, because we want to make more.
Like, how can we grow?
So,
what should we? This is where we're at now. How can we grow? We told them where we were at now, and they were like, "But wait, you get how many downloads?"
And they're like, you're an exception. Never mind. Move on.
Exactly. They're like, we can't tell you.
Couldn't give us anything.
They're like, you're pretty much killing it because of the numbers that you're getting, and the fact that we're in such a niche market, and the fact that there's no one, like, they're like, just keep doing what you're doing. We can't really tell you, because their advice is like, okay, once you get to
which is so intimidating.
Once you get to like 10,000, once you get to 5,000 downloads per week, then you can start doing things.
Well, and they're talking about like the big ad corporations. It's like, sure, there's money in that, but like we even tried that, and they were paying, and that was based on downloads, and it was like 3 cents a download or something, and it's like, okay, you know what I mean? So it's just I mean, I've even considered, you know, courses for the podcast, just because it would be nice just to document everything and like be like, here, if you're interested, check out how we did it. Yeah,
that's why there's such a market for learning, because it's like someone did the work and someone took their expertise and put it in these bite-sized chunks for you,
right?
And now you can get where you want to go quicker.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
Yeah. So how did you go from like your Etsy shop to then becoming kind of like an Etsy teacher?
Attention all laser owners and crafters. Are you tired of spending hours cutting, painting, and assembling laser products? Look no further than Crazy Laser Dad Laser Ready Blanks.
Their high quality blanks are expertly sourced, tested, and ready to use with your lasers. Say goodbye to the hassle and frustration of time-consuming projects, and hello to more time creating and selling.
Plus, with their wide selection of items, you'll surely find the perfect blank for all your customers.
So, what are you waiting for? Visit crazylaserdad.com today and take your laser crafting to the next level with their laser-ready blanks.
Speaking of all things laser, check out Houston Acrylic at houstonacrylic.com for reliable laser tested and laser approved materials.
Made for makers by makers, Houston Acrylic features over 450 styles of acrylic sheets. With over 50 new arrivals being released this month, Houston Acrylic is committed to bringing new and innovative styles to the laser community. My personal favorite is the matte. Anything matte. And I feel it's perfect for everything.
Don't forget to save 10% by using our exclusive coupon code TRBP10 at checkout. Get inspired today and visit houstonacrylic.com.
Do it.
So to pick back up a little bit of the story, I had my shop and I started selling some things, and that's when I crossed path with an SEO guru, an Etsy person. Her name's Jen, and she taught me all kinds of things about SEO. Right. And I started this Facebook group, and first it was just kind of like a hot mess and everybody was complaining. And then I kind of felt like, okay, there's an opportunity here, right? Yeah. Because people are desperate for information. And this was like the beginning, right before the pandemic was just starting.
Yeah.
And so we were all suddenly like, we're trapped at home, and all these hobbies started coming up, and right. And I was working remotely, and I had like a kid in kindergarten. I was like, something's got to give. Like, I can't do this. Can't do it. Help me. So
our
I
kid
don't
was
know
in kindergarten too, wasn't he?
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was a mess.
iPad? No, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think so. I think he was in kindergarten or pre-K.
Yeah.
And they were like doing like a 2-hour like learning virtually, and like 15 minutes in, he was over it, and even that 15 minutes was like, sit down, pay attention. She's talking. What song is that? Like, oh my God, it was awful.
No, it was terrible. So my son's like, my husband and I are trying to work. He's interrupting our calls, and these are like professional work calls. So I was already like, I was looking for something, but I didn't know what. And then someone said to me, I have a friend who like is a Pinterest coach, and she was starting a group, and she's like, you can make courses, and she's like, you have a background in adult learning, by the way, and you've done coaching and training your whole life, and now you know a little bit about Etsy, right? What if you just put those together? And then that kind of blew my mind, because then I realized that there was this whole world of people that were doing this kind of thing, coaching, right? Business coaching. And so I worked my full-time job, and then I had this side hustle on the side, which was course building and building this Facebook community and getting my membership going. So then that was, so that was 21. In 21, I was able to leave my corporate job because I had enough spinning plates. I had like Etsy, I had, you know, whatever, all these things that were cobbled together for like almost something full time. And I gave notice, and my boss at the time, and I was like a director at a nonprofit, and she was like, "Wait, you're doing what?" Wait, Etsy? And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm out. I don't want this life. I don't. I'm missing everything. The pandemic kind of broke me. I want to like be here when my son goes to school, and I want to like make stuff with wood, and I want to sell my courses and help people make their things and make money."
Agreed. And I don't miss the corporate world at all. I don't miss it for a second. And like, believe me, we've had some rough days on this self-employment journey, especially this year, you know, but it's just like every time I think about like quitting and the possibility of going back to like working for someone else or working corporate again, I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'll sit here and I'll bitch and complain, and I'll cry and I'll kick my feet and say this sucks, but you know,
like,
it just
go look on. This is a tip for anybody that's like us, having a bad day or a week or a quarter, and you're like, I know, maybe I should get a job again. Go look at a job search board and go on LinkedIn and scroll and look at how burnt out people are. And look at the jobs that are available, and you will definitely change your mind. So
well, even, you know, my mother-in-law, she lives with us, and she gets a job just to keep herself busy. You know, she doesn't have to have one, but she gets one to keep herself busy. And you know, she was working at a daycare, and she was making $12 an hour, dealing with just all this, you know, sick kids. And there was like 2 of them taking care of, I don't know, 10, 11 babies, or I don't remember what the actual, you know, ratio was. And then it was like, you know, I was telling her when things weren't exactly going as planned, she never really had like a set schedule. So she didn't know if she was working the next day or Friday, or, you know, couldn't really make any like plans and stuff. And I'm like, you don't need this job. Find a job that you enjoy doing and work there. Like, you know, so don't add stress to your life. And I feel like that's true for anyone, even if you are at the point in your life where you need a job. Find something you actually enjoy doing.
You enjoy.
Yeah. When we were leaving Colorado to come to Florida, you know, our son was only a year old. So I was going to, you know, stay home with him, but then also attempt to grow my business, because I was making t-shirts and stuff on the side. But by that point, I had made the choice that if I did go back to work at any point, it was going to be doing something fun. You know, something I enjoy doing. Fine, if I work for someone else or if I'm doing accounting for someone else, I'm going to do accounting at a tattoo shop. Or, you know, I'm going to do accounting at like some like fun, you know, place that like I actually enjoy being there and it doesn't like suck the life out of you. And then you go spend your few hours at home and you're like, you know, then you got to go do it again the next day. And you're like, for what?
Yeah.
I know.
There are aspects that I miss about working corporate, but I was working in this is what I do.
Well, but you were at least doing what you love. So that helped.
So, but even then, like there are aspects that I miss, but there are a lot more aspects that I don't miss at all from working.
Those outweigh. I mean,
exactly.
Like occasionally I miss having coworkers just like for that, for people to chat with. Because I work at home and my husband works at home.
Oh,
and like,
I'm so antisocial now. It's
I
the
know.
worst.
I forget what it's like to like have people around all day. And like go to like lunch with people.
Yeah, that's when I actually used to be social. Was
I did too.
And
I have like I don't like people at all anymore. And like I used to have more people. The older you get, the longer you work from home, you're like, no, I could see no one else all day, and I'm actually okay with that. And that,
so
I don't know that I like that.
not to
We're
sound,
like starting
not
to talk to
sound
my laser
crazy.
in here. Like, no, we're good. I don't need anybody else.
I used to work in the streets.
Oh yeah,
not like that.
Right.
But I used to work in the streets, so I also miss like just meeting you know random people and talk. And then my job was to get random people to talk.
Right.
On camera.
Well, and that's why when a lot of times now when you have like a gig, a video gig, that's why a lot of times I want to tag along because like 29 days out of the month, I see the people at daycare and you guys. Right. You know what I mean? Like, and maybe the people at the post office
like
a couple times. Yeah, and the neighbors. Like, I don't see people. And so when you have like a gig, I'm like, ooh, I want to go. Because it's like,
I love that.
I want to, there's like people, and it's like no pressure necessarily for me because like you're working and I can kind of be there to support or hand you something, get behind the scenes stuff. But it's a lot of times when
the saddest parts. So my son he's in third grade this year. He just finished, and we used to walk him to school, and it would be like our social outing for the morning. And we would like go, and this year he's like, "Listen, guys, I don't need you to walk me to school anymore." And I like part of it was like, "Then that's it. I see no people all day long. How dare you?"
You can't take that from me.
Yeah, he's like, no, thank you. I'm good. I'm just gonna walk myself, and he did. And now my husband and I are like, well, I guess that's it. We don't see people anymore, so it's all
gone.
Join
the PTA.
Maybe that's a lot, but or maybe some kind of like a like when you're into crafts like this year. My husband does the math homework, right? And he had like a market day. My son did like a market day, and I'm like, finally, my time to shine. We're gonna develop a product, and like I made him these things with my laser.
My time to shine is when they have to do any kind of like 3D project or diorama or any like hold my beer. I'm about to make all the things. You can tell me what you want in it, and then I'm gonna go ham. But
and I went above and beyond. Like for market day, you can always tell the kid whose mom has a Glowforge or a 3D printer because they have like all the wooden stands and the that was my thing. That's my thing we could do.
But the like helping out on like field trips and stuff, it's like I can't. That many kids and like having to be responsible for them, and like they're not my kids, so I have to like be a lot more patient and nice when I talk to them. Like, no, Joey, don't you go over there, Joey. No.
Well,
like,
just seeing you at lunch.
Oh my God, we went to lunch with. So we had like a teacher conference towards the end of the year. And afterwards, it was before lunch. And so we're like, well, we might as well just stay, for lunch. He's always asking us to like come up there and have lunch with him. And so he had done really good. And so as like a reward, we were like, okay, we'll have lunch with him that day. And so we go, and like before the kids even sit down, we sit down at the table, and it is just so loud in there. And it was, so he sits down, and then how many, like 5 more boys, right? 5 or 6 more boys.
His friends, his crew.
Oh my
crew
God.
comes and sits with us. Yeah. So I've gone to
I was
lunch or
overwhelmed.
two.
It was like 5-10 minutes
And it's
in,
the
and I
same
was like,
crew.
Well, you
I
need to
am
come home and
so
lie down
overwhelmed.
after that. Yeah.
It was way too much. Yeah. So what were you
So
gonna say?
it's a lot. Yeah,
No,
that's why
just-
I don't volunteer for the field trips because there are moms that do that well, and that ain't
Yeah.
me. So
Let them have their thing. I'm gonna
Let them have their thing.
I'm gonna let you shine where you shine, and I'm
That's
gonna show
right.
up with the last minute laser,
Yes.
lasered gift, and
100%, you're gonna have the best keychains out of anybody in 3rd grade, kid. And your
Right?
teacher gifts off the charts every
Yeah.
time.
So, speaking of teacher gifts, on the absolute last day of school, I sent a tumbler, an engraved tumbler, but I had my son write the teacher's name. So it was in his handwriting, and it said, Mrs. Grapsy. And I was like, so it's over the top, but it was also super last minute. Like, I completely missed teacher
Wow.
appreciation and,
Yeah.
whatever. But it, like,
I nailed
hey,
it.
it showed up.
I used a cuddle design, and it was a ornament that had the year in the middle, and then all the kids and the student, like the teacher and all the kids' name around the ring. And the
Yeah.
teacher was like, "Holy crap, how'd you make this?" And of course I wasn't going to tell her that it was a template. I was like, "Oh,
Right.
I'm magic. I do magical things with my laser."
Right? They don't need to know the
No,
details.
she didn't need to know that it was a beautiful piece of software that did it.
How'd you make this? I have a laser.
Yeah, I have a laser. That's why I said, "Oh, I have a laser. You guys want to see it? I'll turn it on." I turn it
Right.
on for my kid and his friends. They're like, "Let's see the machine."
Right? I know. I
Yeah,
can't wait
that's
until
cool.
JR's friends like see it. Like, what's that? Yeah. And then soccer. I did the same thing for soccer. Literally 30 minutes before the last soccer game, I was finishing up the keychains with all of their
Yeah.
like names on them and the little
Girl,
like
that's me. We are the
soccer
same.
attachment. But then I was all proud because he was like passing them out. He was all excited to show their friends, and all the parents were like, "Did you make these? Did you make these?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
I sure did.
Just 30
My
minutes
magical
before
machine.
soccer, but I made it.
I made it. See, that's great. I think like when I think about what I do now, even though it's different and it's a little bit weird, like people that haven't seen me for a while, like you're doing what? Etsy, okay,
Right.
cool. And they don't have to get it because I don't care anymore.
Right.
But
Yeah.
like at the end of the day, helping people make their small businesses work feels really
Yeah.
good. And helping
sure.
like, the stay-at-home mom or the side hustle, or like, hey, we need another income, or
Yep.
it's been a weird year, we need more money, or whatever it is,
Yeah.
feels good to me.
Yeah. I agree.
To really be able to make an impact like you guys, helping people
Yeah.
with their business in any way, it feels good.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
had
I'm okay with
someone, one of my students gave me a shout out in one of the groups about silhouette and how, 'cause I have a silhouette course teaching them how to make their laser designs using
I need
Silhouette
that.
Business
Write it
Edition.
down. I'll write that down.
But,
That's
because,
silhouette for lasers.
yeah, Silhouette for Lasers is what it's called.
I like it when the name says what it is. It's built in,
Right? I had to make it simple.
I like it.
But she gave me a shout out, the other day when someone was struggling. I think they were struggling. No, Adobe. They were using Adobe Illustrator, and they just, when you're first starting, yes, the membership is a business expense, and yes, it can be like written off or whatever, but
Right.
when you're first starting out, a subscription, and everything is a subscription now,
Yep.
so it adds up quick, and we can afford those right now because we're more established. But everyone tells you, oh, use Canva, oh, use Photo Room, oh, use Adobe Illustrator because it's the best, and all of those plus some are
expensive.
subscriptions,
Yep.
and it adds up, and so
really does.
she
Absolutely.
was struggling with using Adobe Illustrator and paying that monthly subscription. And that's the thing that I personally love. One of the things I love the most about Silhouette is that you pay $100. Actually, you can get it for $50 a lot of times, because it's usually
I think
on
that's what I
sale.
paid. $50. Yeah.
Swing
There
Design.
was somebody had a coupon.
Yep, Swing Design usually has 50%
that's
off.
where
and
I got it.
sometimes- Yeah, and sometimes Silhouette will put it 50% off as well on their website. But $100 and it's lifetime. And I have 3 licenses. I've put that same license on 3 different computers, and it just there's no recurring expense
What
as
about
far as
updates?
that goes. Updates are free.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
they'll
that's-
do.
I mean-
you can update anytime.
Yeah.
And they'll do it.
That's
It's pretty
cool.
good.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it felt really good that person was, that person was struggling, and that one of my students was like, hey, Crystal really helped me like figure out silhouette. And you don't need to be a file designer to do well with laser stuff, but you
Right.
do need to be comfortable in a design software enough to, add the names if you don't have the Cuddle software that didn't exist, 4 or
Right.
5 years ago when I was doing this. And then even then there's limitations. Like, sure, the Cuddle design may be amazing, but what if you want, like, you don't love how that house looks, or you want like a different style of a heart, or, customizing even pre-purchased designs and making it what you want it to be. That's the whole reason I started designing in the first place, was people would send me a design and they'd be like, oh, I want this on a t-shirt. And I'm like, okay, but can I change it up? One, because I don't want to copy someone else's work. And two, because I hated the font choices, or, hated the placement of things or whatever. And so just being able to do that little tweak to a design is the way that you're going to be able to set yourself apart, from everybody else. And being comfortable in a design program is huge, but it's overwhelming because, when you're brand new, you don't know what to look for in YouTube.
I'm telling you, that's exactly same thing. Like, you don't know what you don't know. You start Googling, you start, and next thing you know, you're down the rabbit hole with something that you purchased and maybe it wasn't the right thing, or you're watching YouTube videos, and just like with Etsy, the information is conflicting.
Spend 10 minutes and it's 2 years old and doesn't apply anymore.
And then next thing you know, there's affiliate links and you're like, I don't know what happened. So I think like when you're very vulnerable as a new business owner, or even if you're like a lot of people that come to my Facebook group, they haven't even started yet because like they're like, I've been wanting to do this for years and I cannot make myself do it. I'm scared. I'm nervous. How am I going to stand out? Very vulnerable. And so
like my website and Etsy, both for physical goods, I was really scared because I had seen people make mistakes in how they set up their like shipping profiles, like things like that. And I was scared of like, we've all seen the people who were like, oh, I listed this for $35 and then after Etsy took all the fees and I shipped it, I'm out $5, or I only made $5, or, I was terrified of making those mistakes. And like, those mistakes, yes, you learn things from them. And, some of those are like healthy and figuring out like your way. At the same time, if you can avoid any of those in the beginning, it's also beneficial, and it's less defeating, and,
absolutely.
or at least
you don't have to spend 2 years like me with your shop open. Basically, I was just paying them every quarter.
Right.
I was just paying Etsy for my listings because nobody was buying any of them.
Right. Here, just take this 20 cents or whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it wasn't like a lot, but I was laughing. Still, like, I'm actually paying Etsy for my shop because nobody bought any of the stuff that I had before I got into woodworking. But anyway.
So what are like your favorite Etsy tips? Like when someone comes up to you and they just don't know where to start, like what are the first things that you
I like this. So I was thinking through, and I'm going to be at the laser conference. I'm on the stage on Saturday giving a presentation. So thinking about some of this is very timely. So I think for Etsy, I would say you need to figure out early on, or if you're already started and you didn't do this, what's your why? Okay. Like why do you want this Etsy shop? Why do you love making? Why are you looking for this business now? And even if it doesn't, you don't have to put it in your shop as like a personal thing and make it a story where you're vulnerable, but it's important to understand like, why are you doing this? Because when you're really frustrated and it's Christmas rush and you've been up all night and you're ready to like hurt somebody and your laser goes out, right? You're going to be like, why am I doing this? Why do I, and you come back to your why and you're like, okay, I really do enjoy this. Just having a bad day or whatever. So find your why. There's a really good Simon Sinek video. If you're familiar with Simon Sinek, he has he's a speaker. He's done TED Talks. He's written books. And the one, it's called Finding Your Why. And it's all about why people don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it. And I that resonates with me a lot. So write that down somewhere. Why do I want this business, right?
Right.
What is it that I really want? And then the next thing I would say is, what's your unique value? Okay. And people will say to me, they're like, nothing. I don't do anything different. I'm just another person with a laser or whatever, which is not true.
Right.
What is it that you're going to do to stand out? So that could be anything from the way you make your files, I don't know, the materials you use, your unique designs. It could be that you're, you found a niche that other people haven't, or that you're driven to your business for whatever reason. So there's always something unique about you and how you're going to do what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And what I see, especially like laser people, when they come to the group, they get their laser, right? And then the next day they're like picking things from the catalog that everyone else is selling. And then they're like, why is no one buying these, baby milestone rounds? And I'm like, okay, because everyone is selling them, and they've been selling them for 10 years, and you're coming in, you're brand new. So don't just look at what other people are selling and try to do it. Find your unique value and what
if
you're
going to
bring
sell baby milestones, try and sell a design that someone else isn't selling, or do it differently,
that idea.
Or find a way to tweak it and make it different. And
absolutely. That and I think that's sort of that next step is like, what am I going to do that's different? And then also asking yourself, like, what products are you going to sell? And what you said this earlier, pick something that you like making, because again, when you're stressed,
and it's my Etsy advice, or my just general advice would be, I didn't know what I wanted. I thought I knew what I wanted to make, and I thought I wanted to make those the baby like signs, the nursery signs. I saw them, I thought they were super cute, and I was like, oh, there's tons of ways I can tweak that and make it mine and whatever. And I made 2 of them, and then I was over it. And I realized that was not what I wanted to do at all. I had the nerves of what kind of like hardware to put on the back, talking to different people on the liability that came with it, the shipping, like all of it. And I was like, and then, let's be real, dealing with pregnant women, it's kind of like dealing with brides.
You mess up their baby sign, they're never going to forget it.
Exactly. So it's just like, I quickly realized that wasn't my thing, but I also didn't really know what my thing was. Hell, I've been crafty since I was a little kid. Like, I remember in middle school and high school, I think even, I was doing craft shows with my mom, and we were always like tweaking and adjusting like what we were doing and like what kind of thing we were going to try to make money. And we did a million of them before we figured out, what it was. And then I did t-shirts. And then as soon as that started taking off, then I got sick of them because they were so much work for not a lot of profit. And it took for the laser stuff, it took me probably at least a year, if not like a year and a half, to really figure out what I like doing. And it's kind of all over the board, but I've really pinned down one that I don't like working with wood, because I don't want to sand, seal, paint, prep, do all that. And I don't like smelling like a campfire. I'd much rather smell like, and I'd much rather smell like an acrylic salon.
God, the acrylic gives me headaches.
It doesn't for me at all.
I love the wood. There's something about the wood that I love, but you're right. Like it, and that's good that everybody likes different things, right? And there's plenty of
I didn't figure that out until I started playing with things, until, at first I said yes to almost every single project that my friends or family would bring me. And then I'd make them, and then I'd be like, okay, I'm not even posting this one because I don't want someone else to order it. And then there'd be the thing, there's like, oh, this was so fun to make, I hope everyone orders it. And then you get lucky sometimes, and sometimes people do, and sometimes the thing that you think is going to be your thing just kind of flops. But you just got to keep trying stuff. Find people to like gift them to,
An Etsy listing is 20 cents. And like, so pick things that you like, and then know that like you'll get your shop full, and then 4 years, 5 years later now, all the things that I started Etsy with, even the woodworking stuff, I don't sell anymore because it's no longer fun, or I found a more efficient way, or people stop buying it, trends change, or I just flat out hate it and I'm done.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can do that. And then you should always be innovating, right? Always be looking for new products, because if you're trying to sell the same things you were selling 3 years ago that were trending then, they're probably not trending anymore.
Right.
Or there's so many more people now making them. And so that maybe like an additional tip is be prepared to innovate often.
Yep.
And be always looking for something. I'm always testing, like if I have a product that sells, I'm always testing maybe 2 or 3 other things that I haven't even listed yet to see like, how hard is this to make? Is it a pain in the butt? Do I like it? Will it work? Right? Before I list anything.
Yeah, because the worst thing is like, God forbid if you went viral making something that you absolutely hate making, you're like, oh my God.
Like those flakes.
Right? Oh, that would be the worst.
So I did actually go viral, and there was one item. So it was a bunch of like funny and inappropriate Christmas ornaments. And one of them were those fuck flakes that were like super popular that year. And I still sold them, but I outsourced them to my friend, who I paid her to make them for the price that she sells them to people for. And then I I outsourced, because it was like, you got to find that way too. It was like, I don't have no desire to make these, but I don't want to turn these people away. So, I'll add those in. And then I also put a limit on how many I was going to sell, because like especially at the time, I was newly pregnant. It was a very rough pregnancy. And so I had no desire to keep up, and it was December. I was literally selling them off. I was trying to sell them cheap so that, like, I told him, he did the show for me because it was still during COVID. And so he did the show for me. It was a girl boss event. He girl bossed it up for me. And I was like, listen, don't bring any of these home if you can help it. And then all of a sudden someone made a TikTok about it, and then they went viral, and it was like, well, shit.
Oh my gosh.
But then I was like, okay, let me take advantage of this situation now, but let me put limits on it. Let me make sure, I'm going to list only like 20 or 30 of, each design. I'm going to make sure I'm not going to promise anything before Christmas. If it gets there before Christmas, that is a unplanned bonus. It was just like, but people wanted them. So it was like, I'm not going to turn them away, but I'm also not going to kill myself in the process, because this was my planned break to be pregnant and miserable without a whole bunch of, Christmas orders to fulfill.
Oh God, it never works out no matter what you do. I'm always like, the week before Christmas, people are still making orders, and
always
it happens. So I mean, all that, like, pick things that you enjoy making, and just know that if you don't have to take the orders, you can put limits on things. I had something that these like wooden spoons that would not stop selling, and I got to the point where I was like, I hate them, and my husband's like, just deactivate the listing. I couldn't. I'm like, but it's money. He's like, but it'll be something else in a couple months. And it was like, eventually they, went out of style, and it was something else. It's your business. You can do whatever you like.
Yep.
And
the
if
first
you're in it for the long,
was great.
I
remember how
it always is.
Yeah.
And if you want to be here in 5 years and not just be like someone that opens and then gets frustrated, they don't have sales and closes. If you want to have a business in 5 years, you're going to have to sort of try products and bring new products in, and constantly be looking at what you're currently selling and taking things, deactivating things that are no longer selling, or that became really expensive or time consuming for whatever reason. Sometimes it's just time to retire things because they're, the materials went up, or your life changed, you no longer have time. It's okay to bring in or outsource things, or do whatever you need to do in order to keep you going. So
is there any other like hot Etsy tips that you can think of?
We could do this podcast for 3 hours, but let's not do that. But I think so. Join the Facebook group for sure. But so once you get your listing, like once you take the leap and go live, and you figure out like what you're going to sell, at least initially, right? You don't have to have a niche. I think niches are overrated. You can get mad at people out there, but you don't need a niche. Because Etsy buyers do not care if you have a mug and a T-shirt and a digital file in your shop. They do not care. So the next thing would be getting your listings written properly, and the words SEO. When you're talking about, I'm writing this down as you're talking about Etsy. SEO on Etsy is how people find you when they're searching on Etsy.
Yeah.
Only. And it has Etsy because they're extra. They have their own SEO that's different from Google. And
of course,
I don't even touch Google because you need like a master's degree for that.
Right.
And I don't have that one. So for Etsy, you're going to focus on putting keywords and phrases into your listings that buyers are searching for. So like if I'm a buyer and I go to Etsy, which I do, and I go to the search bar and I say, Father's Day visor SVG, right? And I hit the search bar, then Etsy goes back and they do their calculating on who has those phrases in their titles, in their tags, in their description. Right. And then they do a ranking. So they like, hey, I have 10,000 listings. I'm going to rank them based on, how many sales they have and their review rates. So to get those keywords into your listing is the hardest, in my opinion, the hardest part of Etsy is trying to understand what are the keywords, who's looking for this.
Well, and this may be what I call it, but what does some random person who doesn't know the technical terms, what would they call it if they go looking for it? Yeah.
Right, because not everybody knows what we know about our item. They don't, maybe they don't call it, I can't even think of an example, like a mug or a cup or a tumbler or whatever.
Yeah.
There's
well, and little things like trademarks too, making things more like difficult too. Because I remember the whole thing of, what do you call the little, the outfits that babies wear that snap? What's it called?
The onesie?
Right. Well, onesie is a trademark term. So if I'm listing a onesie on Etsy, I can't use the word onesie. And I think there's like some loopholes, right? Yeah, if you're actually using, what is it, the Gerber brand?
They have like you have to use a phrase
There's a whole thing you have to do to be able, and it has to be Gerber brand, and like you have to, and I mean I get it. If they came up with a term, it's just like keychain thingies. Right. I don't want people using keychain thingies on Etsy or whatever to describe their item. And so, but it does make it more difficult so that one is kind of hard for me because it's kind of like Kleenex. Kleenex was a brand, but now it's like what I call tissues, facial tissues.
Velcro is a brand.
When it starts to become, what people associate with that item, then it's hard because, like, I mean, I actually had some metal blanks that are shaped like onesies, but I can't call it a onesie. I have to call it a bodysuit.
Baby t-shirt, bodysuit.
Right, exactly. Yeah. You have to come up with all these like ways to describe it because when you're looking for it, you're probably going to look for onesies. Right. Well, we can't describe it that way. So it's like, when you're looking, you're not going to look for baby bodysuit. Right. You know what I mean? But
if you want to play the game and have an Etsy business, you got to play by the rules. So the people that put onesie in their listings are at risk for getting shut down. Whereas like that's what someone's going to search for. And people always ask me like, how do people get away with selling stuff on there like Disney? And I'm like, they haven't gotten caught yet. I don't know why. And maybe their day will come, maybe it won't. But if you want an Etsy business and you want to do it right, you got to play the game.
Yep.
I brought that Disney up to you the other day with another podcast, on a bigger scale. Yeah. But like they sell merch and it had to do with one of the things.
It was some phrase,
topics,
but they were using,
and the phrase was so the only thing that was like Disney related aside from the phrase being part of the park was that the font.
They're using the font.
So it's like what this group of people call themselves. So it has nothing to do with Disney per se. Like Disney doesn't call him that or have that phrase on anything. Yeah,
and he knows I'm the like.
Right. So I'm like, how would they get away with this?
And I'm like,
because the font screams Disney.
Right.
And it is about the Disney parks, but Disney is not like they're ripping Disney off per se.
Right.
Because Disney doesn't use that phrasing.
Right.
So it was kind of
it's that gray line where like you ultimately have to tell people like, okay, if you want actual like advice, you have to go see an attorney.
Yeah, like I say, I'm like, we don't give legal advice in this group. Right. Talk to a lawyer or go to this other group where they can tell you.
Yeah.
The podcast I listen to be fair, they're also one that would
the line.
Sell those shirts, and if they sold, great, and even better if Disney told us to stop,
because
then they can say
we got
Disney,
in trouble.
yeah, we got in trouble. Ha ha ha.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's those things where, like, when you're new, I mean, hell, I didn't know in the beginning either. I was naive, and because so many people, I remember
you made that one. I'm like, hey.
Well, so I made, and I just made it for my friend. So I made
like
a minion sign, but I went like over
Ham.
the top. Like he had 3D glasses. His glasses had clear acrylic in them. Like he had a laser gun. The laser like had like
light.
LED lights. Like I
was...
went way over the top. But like I love minions. I have a minion tattoo. Like they're my favorite. And I made it for my friend, and I was posting it, and he was like, "You better not post that." And I was like, "Why?" And he was like, Universal is going to come for you. And I was like,
take your house.
Shit. Yeah. I was like,
and not only that, and then in one fell swoop, they'll kill both of our incomes because I was working for Universal.
Because he didn't. Well, technically, but not like.
They'll take your whole house.
He worked for a TV news station that was owned.
I worked for an NBC
NBC
station.
Universal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that would be bad.
The correlation isn't immediately obvious, but yeah, so I mean, and I wasn't planning on like listing those and like selling tons of them. I was just making an over the top like sign for my friend's room. But like, I didn't realize the severity of even like just posting it on my business page at all, even if I'm not selling it. People are always like, oh, it was a gift. And it's like, okay, like, listen, even me, the trademark and, whatever IP police, like, yes, I sometimes make stuff for my friends or family, but don't post it on your business page. You probably shouldn't have even posted it on your personal page. Like, when I make it, I take a picture of it for me, maybe if I really like it, and then I give it to you, and then, but then I also...
Don't tag me in your posts.
Right. Well, and I do tell them, don't tag me in that. I'm not making any for your friends. I'm not making any for your mom's mom.
You didn't get this
whatever.
from me.
You did not get this from me. If anyone asks, you found it on the street.
Exactly. And if I don't want to make it, that's my first excuse. Like, ooh, sorry,
that's true. I do that. I'm like, sorry, can't touch
but,
anything that's intellectual property.
If you don't know, you don't know. And the reason I didn't know was because I saw it all over Etsy. Yeah. So my dumbass thought that, everyone else is doing it. It must be okay. And I just didn't. And now that I know, I'm kind of like, how didn't I know? But, it's because it was so rampant on Etsy that I just, everyone's doing it, making tons of money. And then that was also a very typical request was the NFL teams and, all that kind of stuff. And then it was like, oh, wait, like, that's
and then you have to say no to the sale. And that sucks, right? Because we're here to make income.
Make money, right? Make sales. Yeah.
I mean, I would say like, the things that I would say to people, that's another good one is like, don't go by what you see on Etsy.
Yeah.
What other people doing is none of your business.
Yes,
in any way. What they charge for their stuff, where they got there, if they don't have a license, or if they do, don't worry about it.
Right.
Stay in your lane. Whatever keywords they're using, don't copy their keywords, don't copy their designs.
Right.
You're going to do your own thing. Yeah. I recommend not looking unless you're just sort of looking for inspiration or just seeing what's out there. What I see people do is they go to Etsy, they copy titles, they copy descriptions, they sometimes copy
someone did that to me. I was so mad. With my description. They made their own design, but they used my description. And I was like, no, like you're going to have to make up your own. Like go through the work, like, but dang, what was I going to say about Etsy?
Oh, shoot. Sorry.
I forgot. No, you're fine.
Okay. But anyway, so that's another thing is don't go by what you see other people doing. It's none of your business. Don't charge what they charge. And don't ask
that's what I was going to say.
On Facebook what you should charge for your items.
Well, so I recently, one of my friends had ordered a cake topper for her 30th birthday. And I went over the top. It was like 4 or 5 different colors of acrylic and all of that. And then I was struggling with what to charge her because I love making cake toppers, but then I always struggle with what to charge for them because they yes, a lot of people save them, especially when they're the nice, you know, like
Fancy
art
ones, yeah.
pieces. But they when it comes down to it, it really is one-time use. She may say she's turning 30 again, but the fact is that she'll be 31 next year. So I was like struggling with, you know, what to charge for it. And so I went on Etsy and I was like, okay, let me see what other people, and these are like shops that are, you know, have lots of sales, good reviews. I'm like, what are they selling a similar design for? And I was like, holy crap, I am undercharging. Like, I mean, obviously on Etsy, you know, they have to cover all the fees and that kind of stuff. And, you know, my website fees are a little bit lower, but, and, you know, she was a friend too, but it was like, oh, someone who's using like just even a gold mirror acrylic cake topper was like $25. And I'm like, oh, okay. I definitely, you know, 35 was kind of like the minimum for several different layers and elements to it, and completely custom at that. The other ones, it might have been custom in that they did your name in that font, but a lot of them were just like baby boys first, you know, it was like nothing custom about it, and they're charging, you know, that much for it. And so doing it in that way, I think, is healthy, but there's a lot of unhealthy ways to like just go look at the price and try to undercut.
If she was going
whoever.
to look, if she thought what you charged her was too expensive, she would go to Etsy and do the same thing.
Exactly.
Right. I do feel like there's this like, I have to charge, or what people do is when their shop is slow, they immediately run a sale and cut, or they slash their prices because they think that that's the thing that's keeping people from buying. Yeah. And I would say anyone out there, please don't slash your prices and race to the bottom, because that hurts everyone.
It really does.
And we have to pay, like, it's not only the materials, right? And the Etsy fees, it's your time, your labor, your whatever, if you have you know, a shop or employees, like you have to be saving for your retirement, all that goes into your pricing in some way. It's not just, oh, this piece of acrylic's $3, so I'm going to charge $5.
Right, exactly.
And like, that's the biggest thing too, is with Etsy, is you got to price for profit, and you have to have a formula. And even if you go and you say, okay, the prices range between, you know, 17 and 40, then do your own math on your numbers,
where you fit in,
and decide where you want to be. And then you have room to play. That way you can run a sale, and you're not losing money if you run a sale.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and
it is attractive though.
I mean, I ran into the situation of running a sale and getting, when you get the sale customers sometimes, or when you get the lower priced customers, that's when I would run into someone who didn't know how to use the file. That's when I would run into someone who didn't know it was a digital file because they didn't take the time to read.
I mean, they spend real life money to get this physical product for $5.
I spent my $2 and I want a 7-foot bookshelf now.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So there's it's a way, you'll have to listen to it's like one of our first few episodes, and it was like our worst customers. And I had a customer who she purchased 3 items, and one of them was like 2 weeks apart. And I have a prompt in my shop that says, type yes if you know, understand that this is a digital product, nothing will be sent, whatever. I had to do that because it was just getting too bad. And then she typed yes 3 different times, and then she reached out to me and was asking like when her items were going to be shipped. And I'm pretty sure they were watch band designs, so they were $5, and she probably got them for like $3 because they were on sale. And was wondering where her 3 watch bands for like a total of $9 probably where they were at.
That was a great deal. I told everybody about it.
Great deal.
Yeah, and so like at 7 a.m., she's arguing with me through Etsy, you know, conversations, and she eventually said that I was stealing her real life money, and I was like, okay, but it's entertaining now, but at the time I was like, and normally if they're pleasant to me, I'll refund you, even though it's not in my policy. If you're nice to me, you legitimately made an honest mistake, And I get like, because yes, it is a physical product as my main profile, or the profile picture, as the main like listing picture, I can understand like the confusion, and I feel like Etsy there might be a better way for them to help the buyer know the difference between digital and physical.
Yeah.
But, you know, if they're pleasant and they haven't downloaded it, I'll refund you. You know, it's not worth the stress for me to keep your $5 or, God forbid, maybe even $10. But this girl, no, I kept
their
that
real money.
Yeah, I kept her
life
real life money because of the annoyance she put me through at 7 a.m. over her stupidity. And she literally typed in yes. You read enough of that sentence to know that you had to type yes.
Type
but
yes,
you didn't know what you were typing yes.
She's
you
like,
have
I
to
don't know what I'm
put
typing,
two-
but yes, I want my
You have
watch
to put
bands for
type
$3.
yes at the end of the sentence. You don't speak. Type
I don't
yes
remember
to.
how I had
It's
it.
like, oh yes.
Well, because I even had to change it, and I couldn't. What did I have to do? The people were starting to put when I didn't have the character limit. People were starting to put their names for like personalization. I'm like, no.
Oh, this is the personalization bar.
No, yeah, you have the personalization is like, please
Yeah.
put here that you understand that this is a digital file and blah blah blah.
Oh yeah, my name's John.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. This is a gift for my Aunt Susan. No.
Well, and I even have a 3-character limit so that they can type
Oh,
yes.
it must be
and
my
now I
initials.
get their initials.
Oh, that must be my initials.
And then they
supposed to
send you an
laugh that
email.
hard.
I need to put the personalization in this order. No, you
Oh my
don't.
gosh! But yeah,
I mean, gosh, we do a whole, that's a whole series right there of good Etsy customers. Oh,
right.
love them.
There really is. There's.
Oh,
She's gonna die.
too
Don't
much
die.
fun. Too much fun.
Too much fun.
Too much.
I
Fun.
know, and I just looked at the time. I was like, my son's gonna come busting through the store in a minute. But
Right. Yeah, we can start wrapping up. What I was going to say is there actually was a lady who does on Instagram. She does like the ridiculous conversations that some of us have with customers because it's just
Yes, I love. I think like if people ask me, maybe it's like kind of like to wrap this up. People ask me all the time, is it? Or I see in Facebook groups, I want an Etsy shop. Is it worth it? I think ultimately, obviously, you're the only one person that knows if it's worth it. But as someone who started, and we all start from the same place and grew a business and is now teaching other people. Yes, it 100% can be worth it, and it's not easy, and you're not going to make $1 million overnight, and you're not going to necessarily go viral. You might, right? But don't plan on it.
Right.
Yeah.
You're going to work hard, and it's going to take you several years to build a following and an email list. And yes, you can do it. And yes, when you get there and you wake up and you have Etsy orders, it's a beautiful thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you do it
That's
right.
a good way to round it out.
To wrap it up, where can people find you?
Yeah, so come find me. The Facebook group is called Etsy Underachievers, and it's a pretty big group now, but I'm in the group every single day. There are free resources there. You can also find me on my website at www.shopreviewcrew.com. Shop Review Crew is the name of the business that I do to help Etsy sellers. So there's the Underachievers group and then the website. So I'd love to either hear from you on the website or have you join the Facebook group. And
then I'm going to try and get through the discount. We can't forget the...
Do you want me to do it? I can.
Yes, you do the discount.
I can do it. So a couple things. I was trying to come up with some things to entice you all to join the community. But if you don't have an Etsy shop, I have something from that website. If you go to shopreviewcrew.com and you go to shop, there's a whole page of different offerings. And if you don't have an Etsy shop, but you want one, it's called a startup guide. And if you use the code, is it TRBP?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
BP at checkout, you can get $3 off the startup guide. So that's like 30% off. And it really walks you through step 1, do this, then do this for those that are not sure how to get the shop open.
Right.
So you got that. If you have an Etsy shop already, I have something called the Everything Etsy Guide, which is like how to write description, some worksheets on titles and tags. Same code, TRBP, get $3 off for that.
Okay.
And then do you want to talk about the other one?
Yeah, so the paid members will just tease it. So I'll send them an actual link in the private Facebook group. But just tell them what the paid members.
Yeah.
Don't
So
tell them
for
the
paid-
amounts or anything,
I
but
won't
just tell them like what they
the
get.
paid members. So one of the things that I do the most is give feedback to Etsy shops. And I have a video shop review where I record a video and it's your shop and I'm going through your listings and giving you feedback and action items. And
Nice.
there's a discount on a shop review, which literally I do not discount this anywhere else, and I have not. So
Nice.
only you guys get a
Thank
discount
you.
on the shop.
Woohoo.
Yeah.
Special.
That is why you want to join Patreon.
Right?
That is why you want
Exactly.
to join the Patreon first.
Yes. Join the
Exclusive
group. Get the good
discounts
stuff.
like this.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, thank you for spending an hour of your time with us. Hopefully, we don't get
Yeah.
busted in here in the last 2 minutes.
Right.
I can see he's out there. I can see him looking at me.
And you guys stay right there for our life update coming up next. And we are back. And I know what you've all been waiting for.
What have they been waiting for?
To find out the X tool.
Oh, have they?
Yeah, I teased it in the front. And then we had the interview, and now they're here waiting. Everyone that's made it this far only listen to the podcast just to hear what I have to say about the X tool.
Sure.
And
Okay.
it's not much. 'Cause, I mean,
He turned it on.
I played with it. And
Yeah.
I actually did 3 things.
You did.
I got a little overzealous.
You did.
Um,
Definitely
but
need some tweaking.
Totally. It was the first thing I ever honestly really did. Like, I mean, on
Yeah.
the fiber, I did TRBP.
Right.
You know, that
Yeah.
was like a simple. That was more like to see
Yeah, the focal height or
the
whatever.
focal length
Yeah.
and everything like that. But the X tool, I actually really like. I downloaded the software. I went
Yeah.
through it. I clicked in, and
You're
it was
gonna have
real.
to show me how to use
I
something
can't-
laser related for once.
Listen, I'm not gonna show you much. Like,
Why?
Because I didn't really like do.
You did more than I
So
did.
luckily, so the X tool software that came with it is really user friendly.
That's good.
Because like I picked the gold business card, so I picked the gold business card, and they
Setting,
have they have blue, silver, like which business card do you choose of the like sample packs that they give you.
Right.
So I put that, and then the settings came in, the power, the actual the focus, everything was already like preset.
Yeah.
I brought in my file and put it, framed it. It frames right there, and then basically hit start, and
Yeah.
it was like it was doing it.
Yeah.
And I was
well,
like,
let's
wow.
also talk about how it wasn't working
then-
at first. Why wasn't it working at first?
Well, so when you have a laser, you want to take the lens cap off.
Yeah. That's why our lens cap for our fiber.
Has the thing, yeah. Well, and then also, when I was doing the unboxing video, you did take the foam out.
Yeah.
So, and then the foam, it kind of looked like, I didn't know it had a lens cap.
I didn't know. In your
Exactly.
defense, I didn't know either.
I mean, the Eon doesn't have a lens cap.
right. True.
So I saw you take the foam out. So when I was like looking at the pictures, because it has pictures guide,
Yeah,
it
right.
shows you taking. I'm like, oh, we took the foam out.
Oh.
Perfect. We're done.
So you read
So I
the
go, and I'm
instruction
like-
and you still bypassed it.
I didn't read. I saw the instructions. I didn't read the instructions. It didn't say take the lens cap. I saw them take something off.
Okay.
And I said, we took that foam off. And then I was framing it. I didn't see the frame. And I'm like, is it because of the glasses? So I took like the glasses off. and like, I just didn't. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
well, so what do you do when you don't see the frame? You just run the job and see what happens. And I ran it. And I'm like, man, that was like, that power was really low because I don't see any marks or anything in this. And nothing I kept trying to frame. Nothing,
Yeah, I heard
nothing,
it.
nothing.
Like I heard a lot of
Yeah.
like commotion and a little
Well,
bit of
you hear-
confusion,
you turn like,
and you're like,
yeah.
and then you're like, oh my god.
then
And
I'm
I
like,
was
let
like,
me
what
see.
did you do?
I'm like, oh. And then on the inside of the lens cap, there's a nice little.
Design.
I mean, it's not a design. It's like a smudge. Because it's like focused for down here, and it
Right,
was
and it's up
doing
here.
it right here, and it didn't burn through or anything like that.
That's
so
good.
so that was that, and then
You didn't
so
completely ruin the lens cap.
No, I didn't. And then
We
and then
learned
my
what
first,
to tell people not to do.
Yeah, if you have an X tool, F1, or if you're
Or
getting
if
one,
you're ordering one,
there is a lens cap that you need to remove.
make sure to remove
So you
it.
might want to put that little thing that says remove before
Right.
on that one. No, but the software is really easy. It has, like I said, all the presets of that and other, like, it has a sheet of aluminum.
Yeah.
Like just basically the material you're gonna cut on. It has all the settings.
Yeah.
After I did my first engrave on the little circle like keychain or whatever.
Yeah.
I got the business card. Did that. This time I decided to input a picture.
Got a little overzealous.
A little bit.
Pictures are tough.
Yeah.
I could have told you that.
No, I knew they were tough.
Okay.
I knew, and I actually tweaked. I upped
Oh.
some settings because I'm like, oh, this is for like regular stuff. This is a picture. So I had to do that. And I did it. It ran the job. And when you held it like on an angle, you can see the picture, but you just couldn't like really see it.
Just
straight
barely.
up. Yeah. And then I went to go like clean it off.
Yeah.
In case maybe I was like, oh, maybe I can't see it because I need to clean it off.
Did you clean off the
And I
literally
did clean
picture?
it off. I cleaned off the whole picture. So that didn't work out. But I mean, it was my first.
but
It's
I
my
love-
first time using a laser.
Right.
Period.
Exactly. That's the what you need to do
Yeah.
initially. Is you need to play around.
It
You
was our
need to
wedding
screw
picture,
up,
and it said
and that's
happy
how you-
anniversary. I even
it
put
was-
the text on it.
That's pretty
I was
cute.
gonna give it to her, and it failed horribly. But
Wah, wah.
yeah, but it was again.
But
it
I
was
mean,
the
it was-
first time.
yeah.
But my keychain looks pretty good.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
can't wait
it's
to
very
do
easy.
more on it. That's
Yeah.
going on. It literally, as soon as we got everything and we started to get it set up and stuff, then it was like, cool, lay your ass down. You're miserable right now.
And
So
I think what made the X tool, aside from seeing that the software had those presets and everything in
Yeah.
it too, the size, the fact that because I mean I basically ran the venting over here,
Right.
and I did it basically like on this table.
yeah,
So like I was able to bring. I didn't have to go to the machine, bring the laptop. I was able
do
to
the setup,
and it's a
and-
lot
yeah.
less intimidating because
Yep.
it's like.
this little
It's like a little box with
Right.
a laser. So
Yeah.
it's definitely good because now it's like, oh, well, now I want to like
It's
really
like-
play with the fiber.
Yeah, it's like the what do you call it? Because it's not a fiber. It's the blue,
IR,
blue,
yeah.
blue light, and then the IR laser. But it's like the equivalent of
And then
like
you can choose
a glow
which laser.
forge
You can
and-
choose which laser it cuts on in
right,
the software.
yeah. But like with the presets, the presets aren't gonna 100% be like your go-to. Oh,
Right. That's why I bumped them up for the
oh, yeah,
picture.
I'm struggling, guys. We
That's why.
get through this.
That's why I bumped them up for the picture.
Right, but I've even seen people like, oh, I use the preset and it doesn't look so great, or it's not dark enough, or whatever. And then, yes, the preset is like use that as your starting point.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
okay, if this is mostly like the depth is good, but maybe it's not dark enough. Okay, well then up your power, or
Right.
whatever. I don't even know what the settings are for the X tool because I unboxed it and that's the most that
Yeah.
I've done. I didn't even see what you were doing because I was having to work on something else. But I'm excited to play with it because
And
I
I
like
will
that
say-
it's easier because the fiber does intimidate me for
Well,
sure. The
so it doesn't-
settings part.
So the thing is, so with the fiber you need to use Lightburn, and
Yeah.
Lightburn is like it's not difficult
Right.
when you sit down and you watch the tutorials and stuff.
Yeah.
It's not difficult at all. But
Right.
this I was able to open up, and I was able to find where the setting without having any prior
Anything.
knowledge.
Yep.
Maybe I saw a like a a trailer video, and they showed the site,
Right.
like how
Yeah.
they click, but I didn't retain it. I just
Right.
knew that it had presets somewhere
Yeah.
on here.
Right.
So I was just like clicking around, and I found the presets,
Yeah.
and I mean it's pretty user friendly.
Yeah.
I mean I've never done anything with laser
right.
aside
He's
from
cleaned mine, which I need you
Yeah.
to clean mine
Yeah.
again
Okay.
sometime.
But I mean I haven't like ran a job or anything like on my own
Right.
with her like over and
Yeah.
taking over because that's what she does. Yes, but not
Do
actually.
you hear that little?
What? That little what? Truth? Say I'm lying.
No.
Okay. So yes. So
Yeah.
this was the first. I just took it, and you like even then you're like, what are you doing over there? I
Uh-huh.
hear a lot of noise.
All
I'm
right.
like, oh,
You heard yeah.
just framing, but it's not framing because I have the lens cap on.
Before we head out, because I'm struggling, I need to go to bed and all the things. What are you doing tomorrow? That's exciting.
I have a shoot with some realtors for Meet the Realtor video.
Yeah.
If you're familiar with Keller Williams, they're a big group. I am the vendor for the Vero Beach.
Nice.
I became the vendor for the Vero Beach.
They selected you. It doesn't mean that like their realtors have to use you.
No.
But it's who they recommend when, especially when a new realtor comes along and they're like, "Hey, I want videos or I want these or that," and they're like, "Oh, this is
the way I've learned the way real estate is. The agent is basically like their boss,
right."
And then they go to like a group for mentorship and for help and for like vendors and stuff like that. So I'm a recommendation, but I'm not the only one.
Yeah,
but
it's huge.
Still a
It's
strong
a step in the
recommendation.
door, and
Right. So I have 5. Yeah, it's still 5. I have 5 realtors set up.
Awesome.
And we'll be doing an hour shoot, and I will give them about a minute to 2 minute video.
Yeah. Cool.
Promoting
I'm excited
themselves that
for
they
you.
can use everywhere, and then
and hopefully,
hopefully this
they
opens
tell
the
all
door.
their friends.
Well, no,
like look at my video.
Hopefully they like it, and then they proceed and hire me on for other video that they want to do, whether it's a YouTube series of things or whatever.
For sure. Yeah. Cool.
Exciting times. So, with that, it's been another great episode of the Riley Black Project. Chris and John.
Bye.
Maybe we're all done.